today's exercise was, if you like, a little bit of a brainstorming exercise together with an exchange of information. Essentially, Guyana is, as you know, in the process of preparing for the production of oil and all that goes with it. There are policy issues in particular which it is recognized need to be addressed. Amongst those policy issues, you have the basic problem. Is oil a peculiar thing? Does it poison you? Does it kill its people? What is it? You hear people speaking about the resource curse. You hear them speaking about oil companies getting tremendous revenue resources and not benefiting. This was an exercise in realism. What is happening elsewhere in the world? Is there any special peculiarity involved in this resource, so that the ministers, president, and others involved in the oil sector can get a grasp of what is going on elsewhere, of what the analysis by the experts is about what to look out for, how to decide on policy, and so forth. The full spectrum of things, including how to deal with sometimes what appear to be the predations or ravages of a press. And in a lot of things, they drawing to our attention that what we may regard as peculiar happenings in Guyana as regards arrangements in the petroleum sector, whether it is our agreements, contracts, or the behavior of the press or attitudes of the public, are not peculiar. It is true that in many instances one can point to the fact that there is perhaps lack of understanding, perhaps misconceptions, but that these are problems that all developing countries producing major resources like primary commodities face. So there were exchanges of ideas, what are the challenges, how to deal with them, fiscal policy, information policy, how to engage stakeholders. The full spectrum of issues was discussed, and the leader of the team, Sir Paul Collier, who is a professor at the University of Oxford, runs courses in these areas, and he brought with him today 4 other experts. Some of them are pure academics, some of them are former employees in the public sector who have worked in administration, some of them in the US, some of them in Chile, for example, working in the Ministry of Finance. And we had the benefit of those observations that they had to make, and they took the opportunity to ask us about the problems that we faced, our plans, and what it is we need to do in order to get a clearer understanding of our aspirations and goals and the tools that we use. So it was, I would say, it was reasonably useful. And the ministers as a whole, especially those who might not have either been in a ministry before or who are interested in looking more deeply at petroleum, got a good opportunity to hear about it and to examine the policy options.
It was deliberately designed for us to have informal, uninhibited discussions with some of the world's experts on oil and gas governance, wealth resource management, sovereign wealth funds, communicating with the people. How do we involve them some more? How do we put aside suspicions about, all kinds of backdoor deals and so forth? So it was good for us to talk amongst ourselves. It was good for us to talk to experts about what obtains elsewhere, and to realize as well that we are not far off the radar, or that we are no different place than other countries were 2 years after discovery was made. So this has been a very uplifting session. I am happy that as Minister of Natural Resources, as we are preparing the transition to the Department of Energy, that I could have gathered this group together. I believe it was critical and propitious at this moment that we have this discussion, and I feel quite happy and satisfied at the outcomes today. Well, it's a part of an ongoing series. We can now break this down. So maybe the next engagement may be on sovereign wealth funds only, or on regulatory systems, or on cost recovery. So today was just to give a more of a general view. Having Sir Paul Collier, who's considered the world's leading authority on resource management economics in the country, is a feat in itself. And it shows that there's credibility in government, credibility in the processes that we are taking, because a man of his caliber is not going to associate his name and his reputation with something that is rotten or bad or negative. So these are reassuring signs and signals for us. They also tell us that there's a lot of work to be done. And we have a better way and a better vision now of how that is to proceed.
There's been a wealth of information from some of the best experts, especially Sir Paul Collier, who has been a favorite economist of mine for years now, and who I got the opportunity to now meet. He is an expert on what are the causes for the Dutch disease and natural resources curse and a whole lot of other things. And to have him come here was indeed a privilege. We learned a lot today from these experts, not only him, but also like Peter Harrington and the persons from Chatham House and a number of other experts on communication policy in relation to the oil sector. And it has opened our eyes to the extent of understanding the difficulties an oil sector can be to the country and to the people, and how to manage expectations, how to do a number of the good governance of the oil sector, how to set the structures, the frameworks, and how to get the organization right, and what are some of the special needs that will apply to the peculiarities of Guyana, especially with the context of a Venezuelan or a Western neighbor, and a number of other strategic matters. So it was a real, education for me, very edifying. And we asked quite a number of questions, and we got examples of what were best practices in a number of countries that found oil and how they prepared themselves for it. And I must say that compared to what we were told, we are doing extraordinarily well. And so the bad press that we sometimes get in relation to this matter is not necessarily accurate in their pronouncements as to how bad we have done and all that. So I think we are going to make tremendous progress. This was more or less self-assuring that we are doing the right things. And these experts indicated that, like every other sector, especially one that could be the basis for the transformation of Guyana for the next 50 years, 100 years, that indeed we are doing almost everything on the right track.
What we have is a really overview from world-renowned experts on the whole oil and gas sector. I mean, they went through various examples internationally, how to do things. They went through, from my ministry in particular, what I found is how the matter of the planning and implementation, the managing of expectations, because obviously the public and the general public would expect amazing things with the revenue. Obviously, they said to us, and they reinforced that we should manage expectations. We could communicate to them the limits of what we can do. We can't, and which I think everyone knows. We shouldn't be going out building mega projects, and I'm saying mega projects in the view of skyscrapers, if you don't need, but I'm talking about we should be concentrating on the core infrastructure projects, energy, roads, linkages, bridges, and those things like that. To link our coast and our hinterland and to make the place more accessible to our people. So that was the message which I took, and obviously which I'm going to try work to implement going forward. A very good session today.